Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days, a time of peace, when the Avatar kept balance between the Water Tribes, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, and Air Nomads. But that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar mastered all 4 elements. Only he could stop the ruthless firebenders. But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
Fire Lord Sozin, the ruthless leader of the Fire Nation, believes this is his moment to launch a merciless campaign to conquer the world. His first step is to eliminate the one person who could stand in his way.
2 years ago, my father and the men of my tribe journeyed to the Earth Kingdom to help fight against the Fire Nation, leaving me and my brother to look after our tribe. Some people believe that the Avatar was never reborn into the Air Nomads and that the cycle is broken. But I haven't lost hope. I still believe that somehow, the Avatar will return to save the world.
And welcome everybody to this special presentation of a season review of Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender. I am one of your hosts this evening, Mike Knox. I am joined by the next doctor, the only one that had enough intertesticular fortitude to want to talk about this great show with me tonight. What's going on, next doctor? How you doing, buddy?
I am doing great, and I am excited to talk about this. You know, it's been a while since I watched the original cartoon, so I was definitely hyped to see this live action rendition of it. So,
just a little backstory for myself and my a love for this cartoon. I will never forget it. You know, when this first came out, I'm watching, my cousins and them are over the house visiting, and they're talking about this, they're watching this show, and they just kept talking about it for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And I remember, because, you know, I'm from the South Side Chicago, bit way of Philadelphia. Things are a little different for me the way I grew up in the 90s, right? So I'm like, what are y'all watching? Because all they're 3 boys, right? I'm like, what are you watching with this girl at the star of a cartoon? What's this? They're like, ain't no girl. That's Aang, the last Airbender. And I'm like, what? So, you know, let me sit down and watch this cartoon. You know, back then Nickelodeon would show like a whole weekend of like a series of things like this. I locked in, I tuned in, and I got enamored. I fell in love with this cartoon in every sense of the word, from all 5 seasons into Legend of Korra, and the entire series. When this was, you know, spoke about coming to Netflix and doing a show, I got really excited, next doctor. And then all of a sudden, the creators of the show dropped out of the show. And you start to wonder, can they pull this off? Mm-hmm. Can they actually do this? And then you get mixed reviews, right? This is what I know, I'm getting older in this world, right? If you're watching YouTube like you're watching this on right now, right? And you go to real credible sites, like I tell my children, The Hollywood Reporter. You know, I always say that, like, watch where you get your information from, right? But they're like, well, TikTok has talked about how bad this show was. And I'm like, well, I love your TikTok. And this will be on TikTok, by the way. But you guys are some idiots. All right? I'm going to sit here right now and say without even knowing what you think. So just know that I love you. But if you think this show is bad, I'm going to walk off. Because I damn near will say this, that I like this show better than the cartoon. And it's not that the cartoon is not amazing, ultimate in every single way. I'm just a fan of things becoming live action and can live up to what the cartoon can do. If it couldn't live up, then it would suck, right? Like the movie, with all due respect, right? It's like ranked in like the top 5 of like worst movies of all time, right? It was so bad, Rashad, that I watched that movie several times, just hoping, glamming, praying. Can it be that bad? Yes, it was that bad.
I don't even acknowledge it. I haven't even seen it.
That tells you how bad it was. You refuse to watch it, and it's on Tubi. Okay. So that tells you right there how bad that movie was. But that's my thoughts without going into it real fast for myself more than what I already did. I love this series. That's what I wanted to talk about tonight. Your thoughts just from the beginning of what you saw from this first season.
Man, I got into Avatar like after it had started as well, and I was like, man, this is pretty good. And it wasn't just that, it had a lot of action. The story was actually, good. Like you could follow along. You could, the character development was there. I mean, I guess I guess we just focus on the first season because we've got more seasons hopefully coming up. So I won't go into the later stuff, but there's definitely a lot of character development, and that what really made you, cheer and get sad. You were invested, and that's what I like. It got me invested. Just like you said, it got you enamored. I was invested in this thing. I was like, oh, I need to see where this story is going, and they definitely did their job in the cartoon and the live action. I would definitely say, I don't know if I can say it's better, but I can definitely say that it is worthy of a watch. This is what you want to see when you have a transition from the cartoon to live action. Everything, all of the aspects were in there. I mean, especially the bending. That's the thing when you have something that's fantastical in a cartoon, the animation style lends itself to whatever that fantastical thing is. But when you translate that to live action, sometimes it can be kind of janky, but it wasn't in here. It was believable. I could feel like, oh, in this world, you can just produce flames by moving around a certain way and being born a certain way.
Yes.
You can slide on rocks. You can manipulate water, freeze it, and then shoot out ice discs. And I got to just point out that part where she was fighting the master. They had that in the cartoon. When you see a live action with the slow-mo, like it was perfect.
It was perfect. And that's what, and us leading up to doing this review and watching other reviews, and I would see it was the effects were issues. I remember it didn't follow the cartoon, but what cartoon did you watch? Because I watched the cartoon and it was, I would say, and I've watched the show, and by the time we're doing this, by the time you see this, which is a week later, I've watched the series 3 times over.
Ooh.
All 8 episodes. 3 times over. I have not fell in love with a Netflix series like this since the debut of On My Block when it came out. Maybe everybody wasn't a big fan of that show on Netflix, but I loved it the way that people love Stranger Things, right? I can't say, oh, when Cobra Kai came out, because Cobra Kai started off on YouTube TV first before Netflix got it. So, but Netflix is very, very goated. I'm going to say that at television series. So you have to, when it comes to their movies, please, I take it with a grain of a pentagon of salt is when somebody tells me they're good, okay? Because they're not. But their TV shows, yeah, I'm gonna take a whole can of Lowry's of when somebody tells me that when their TV shows is good. Yeah,
bringing out the Lowry's.
Yeah, well, if you don't use Lowry's, at least Morton for a substitute, then please don't bring me to your house if you're eating something. If all you got is salt, pepper, and adobo, okay? No offense towards the adobo fans, but. Let's get into this series. And as you talk about the very first episode, Aang, okay, what's it talking about? How all this started, right? How they progress through the years, starts off the earthbending. And here's like for someone like myself who gets sick when it comes to like playing games like Star Wars, Battlefield, or I can't play first-person shooters because the motion sickness makes me on the screen that it gives me. It tells you from the beginning, if you have photosynthetic problems, you may get sick with watching some of the special effects about to happen in this show. The firebending immediately took over the screen in the brightness of it. They want to show you the effect of the fire and that. The earthbending in this, to me, is just fantastico, right? The earthbending is amazing. When we get to, I think it's like episode 4, when we get to see Boomy,
Mm-hmm.
and then you find out, and again, that's why I like the series probably better than the cartoon, is that, and this is where you can always cheat, right? I call it the Zack Snyder cut, right? Right? The Zack Snyder cut was amazing because he got 5 years of hearing how bad this shit was to fix. So it wasn't kind of hard to make a good movie, right? So when you already have a good publicized, loving cartoon, all you got to do is edit it a little bit. And that's what I think they did with this. They went back. They showed you the back history differently than the cartoon didn't show you. They showed you when he was a kid before the 100 years came, where he was in captivity in the ice. That's what I thought was amazing. So you got to see that he had this relationship with Boomy. Because when you get to the cartoon, he goes, Boomy? They go, yeah. You see it because they tell you it, but you don't understand it as much as you do when you saw it in the TV show. And even in the Netflix show, they go back and show him go, hey, Boomy. And they're talking, and then they show that that's actually him. Just little quip notes like that I loved about this episode. Again, it's 8 episodes. We're not going to go through every single one, right? So if you want, just for you guys who like to have the catalogs. Season 1 or episode 1, Aang. 2, Warriors, right? When he goes and he meets Aang and Katara and Sokka go meet the, what was the girls called? The Kahoshi Warriors.
The Kahoshi Warriors, yep.
And then you got episode Omashu, right? And then, first of all, episode of Mashu, when you get the old Avatar, pretty much say to him, listen, you got to do this, or I'm going to come back and kick your ass. I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do this Avatar state. And she just goes buck wild. Okay. Yes. After you first start to see your takes on when that part happens, when she comes to Avatar and tells Aang, look, you got to do this. And this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was fantastic the way you could see the power that the Avatar, like the potential power that the Avatar can have. You know, and that was just, I think she only really used.
I didn't see no earthbending. Yeah, I didn't see her earthbend.
Yeah.
I didn't see her earthbend. That's the thing. And I watched it 3 times.
Yeah. So, like, she wasn't even using the full extent of what an Avatar could do.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, she just laid waste to all of those troops. It was a joke, you know, and it was like, okay, this is what the power of the Avatar has. And, I mean, it really projects through them. And again, the way that they're doing the effects for the bending is just spectacular. You know, going back to the first episode when the Fire Nation actually attacked. I mean, obviously, you know, you've seen the cartoon, so you know the outcome. But I mean, they put up a fight. You know, these Airbenders, you know, they might have been, you know, peaceful, but you know. It's like I walk peacefully, but I carry a big stick, and a lot of them had that stick, you know. And it was like, man, they could put up a fight, and you can see. And I mean, it was just the choreography in it, the fight scenes were just so amazing and so believable. Definitely was a lot easier for me to suspend my belief and just dive into this world. You know, it was fantastic.
Seeing things like Uncle Iroh, I completely love. Right, and I'm going to speak on that for a second. This cast, okay, this cast is absolutely, I thought, was on point. And even when, so like my first initial thoughts of Princess Zula, I wasn't exactly sure of her, right? Because I had expected the slimmer look, the more evil look. To me, I thought she was kind of too cute to be evil, right? Like when I look at Princess Zula, but when I see her with the ponytail up, and I'm like, yo, this is really good. That's why that movie also sucked, right? The movie tried to make you think all these people were white. Okay. And that's what Hollywood has to stop doing, first of all, right?
Yeah, that whitewashing is
you gotta stop that, right? So they did the right things. They did the things that you had the Fire Nation or of an Asian descent, right? You have the Earth Kingdom, they're more your so just the way they went by culture, that part was important. And I thought that part was good. That
they separated them. Like they actually made them feel like they were their own people.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, right.
Like you could see that distinguishment between them. You know, and it meant something. You could understand. I mean, it wasn't even something that they had to throw in your face. He was like, oh, okay, these people are here and they look like this. Okay, that makes sense. You know, these people are here, they look like this. Oh, it just works. You know, it's not anything that to beat you over the head with, and you can accept it without it having to be whitewashed.
Elizabeth Yu, Princess Azula. I thought she did a fabulous job. Shout out to Prince Zuko, who I thought also did a good job. Dallas James Liu, and then Daniel Day Kim. What can't this guy do? Seriously, like maybe he should have played Snake Eyes. Nothing against my man who played him, but damn, that was a bad movie, right? You get Ken Lau as Commander Zoe. He listen, him trying to kill the fish, the moon. I'm saying this to me was so much like the cartoon. I want to just keep, prefacing that because so many people said that it wasn't like the cartoon, that it didn't, that it lacked this, it lacked that, and it's so like, what are you watching? What is this? If you didn't like this, as I said, you don't have to be a fan or in love with it like I am, right? But you can't say this is bad to me if you're a fan of the cartoon. I would say, yes. Rashad, I just can't let that part slide by. But this cast, so what's some of your favorite episodes? Because for me, hands down, you give me episode 5. You give me with him, bless you, with him and Boomy, and the earth bending. You give me, like you said, episode 7, as she's as Katana. I always say her name wrong. Yeah, Katana is going up against what's my man from the Water Kingdom?
When Katara was fighting
the elder. And like you just said,
I don't remember his name.
When she would freeze that, and he was sliding, just like the cartoon, he's sliding like he's Iceman. You know what I mean? Like, they did Iceman better than Marvel, people. Okay? With this man water bending. Okay? Master, whatever his name was, right? And then she's just cut me. Like this, it was just such a good scene for me. Those are some of my favorite. That when I say, this show is goated to me. The only thing I would say is they gotta wait. They can't wait too long for the next season because we saw Stranger Things and people grow up and people get growth spurts and things like that. But some of your favorite episodes?
I would have to say definitely that opening one with the fight between the Fire Nation and the Airbenders. I mean, again, the outcome, but still to see, how the Airbenders were using their bending, and it's more of a defensive thing, but they could still do the offense. I like the way that, the ferocity that Zuko was showing throughout. But, and I also liked how when, Aang got captured and, he put on the mask to go, he's like, listen, this is my prey.
Yeah, man.
I need to get him back. He put on the mask, and he did all of that. You could see his skill set because he did all of that without his bending.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to give away that I'm a firebender. It was just straight swords and hands. Zuko was about his business the entire time, and I really love that. They really captured that. I will say,
just like the cartoon, it was right after
the cartoon. When Katara caught him in the ice, he was, he did his fire breath.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, like he was like, that those moments that were, iconic. I will say there were some deviations that I did notice, but I was like, okay, they're going.
Speak on it, because I was gonna say, speak on the deviations for you from the cartoon.
What I noticed, and again, I was fine with it because I don't really want the same. I mean, you want the same aspect,
right?
But it doesn't have to be,
everything step by
cut
step
and paste it here.
Yeah.
Give me something, give me the same thing, but do it a different way because it is live action. And there's going to be different pacing when you do it that way. When Aang was in the
spirit world,
the spirit world, and he was going to Ko, the face stealer.
Yeah.
In the cartoon, he got a kind of a preface before. He's like, hey, you gotta show no emotion because he's gonna steal your face. In this one, he went in blind. And he was kind of showing some emotion. He was like a little intimidated, a little frightened. And he didn't really capture.
Or 16 years old. He's super young.
Well, yeah. And he's supposed to be, but he went in without the knowledge of, if you show emotion. They didn't really talk about, if you show emotion, it steals your face. But it was like starting to attack him and he ran out. I kind of like that they did, just change it up, and then the resolution of that. Because I think in the cartoon, even in the cartoon, Ko was the one that told him about the moon and the ocean spirits.
Right.
You know, he didn't get that from him in this one. So,
No.
you know, I like the way they kind of changed up a bit.
That even in the cartoon, that's one of my least favorite episodes. For
Oh,
whatever
really?
reason, I don't know why. It just really is that one. And then when they go into, as they hopefully get in season 2, when they go to get ready for the Solstice Comet, and they're in the they're down in the school trying to get the they're learning how to stop the comet and how they can use the power of the comet. That whole thing with the big owl and they're stuck in the library. Those are like two of my least favorite episodes of Avatar. So I kind of appreciated how they did change that scene for me, and it was like what's their name? Sokka was the one who actually saw and identified that with Princess moving forward. And even in this, still one of my probably least favorite episodes, because just everything with spirit worlds and things like that. Just a personal preference. What would you think about the scenery, the costuming? I thought it was on point. Again, when they went to the Earth Kingdom and you saw the sliding as they're bending the shuttles through the city, just like the cartoon. I thought it was amazing. You get cabbage, like cabbages, like cabbages. All of that was just phenomenal. What do you think about the way this thing appeared and looked?
The way that they set up all of the different scenes, you know, to make each place feel like it was lived in. You could definitely feel like it was a different, you know, area. When you go to the Earthbenders, you know, even them opening the gates, you know, it wasn't this, you know, I mean, they're Earthbenders. You know, this is their stronghold. You're not just going to have a door handle. You're going to bend it open. Because if you're not an Earthbender, you're not getting in, you know? So I really like that. Definitely the costumes. I mean, the costumes were on point. I mean, especially, you know, you got to, I've always found that the villains, quote unquote, aesthetic is a lot cooler. You know, I mean, I don't know what it is about designers. You know, they're like, oh, maybe I got more freedom in villains, so they just go all out. The Fire Nation's outfits, you know, that armor is just fantastic.
Like
I love that. I love the mask, the helmet. You know, exactly. It definitely looks like that. You know, and going back to Princess Azula, you know, I think the way that she, you know, kind of looks cute and innocent, I think that lends towards the, you know, sinister undertones that she has.
Yes.
You know, when going back to the bending, the lightning.
Oh, when she hits that scene.
When she did that, she was like, listen, I'm not playing any more of your games. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready. Send me out. And I'm going to show you why I'm ready. And she hit the lightning. I was like, oh, yeah.
Even her friends in there, I thought was on point to the cartoon, how they look. So like so much anticipation for season 2, right? To me, like my favorite character, Toph, has to get introduced.
Man, I am so waiting for Toph.
You have to get Toph.
They better give her the interest that she deserves too.
If I had one negative, right? Because I've been so positive about this show, I would say it's over the first season of the cartoon, which again, people, was easy to do that. It's 22 episodes, right? That was my problem with the original movie of Netflix, The Last Avatar, or not Netflix, but the Avatar, The Last Airbender was. They tried to make M. Night Shyamalan cram 22 episodes into a 90-minute movie. And I always say, well, if they took the Harry Potter approach to that, maybe that rendition wouldn't have been so bad, because I loved the end of it. Waiting for, as bad as that movie was, I was anticipating Princess coming in there, because they didn't show that, right? Because in the cartoon, it's a lot of episodes. It was all over the place, which is flat out not the story. This was, and it was paced so well. When I got in the first episode, an hour, 58 minutes. I'm sorry, 49 minutes? Back to 52 minutes, right? I'm like, okay, they're building. So each episode's 3 episodes or almost 4 of the cartoon that they were running through. But it was the fact that he did not they didn't show him learning how to bend water. It's, you know what I mean? As Katana is showing him these things in the cartoon, I would have liked to see him practice. He was always practicing something in the cartoon, and they kind of strayed away from that with I guess it was such an intense moments that they just didn't feel the need to show that. He said, "Hey, I haven't been bending." He kept saying, "I haven't been practicing. I'm sorry. That's not what I, even when he fight, even what you said in the episode Mask, when Prince Zoku takes him and they get together and they escape, and he has to finish him off. It's like, I'm sorry. It's like, yo, I don't fight to be aggressive. We're defensive with our everything. So just everything in this, to me, I give it, honestly, I give it 2 thumbs up. If I had 2 thumbs up on the screen to put on there one time, it would get 2 thumbs up for me. It's how much I love this show and this movie, not movie, but I cannot wait for season 2 of this.
Yeah.
Your final thoughts, thumbs up, thumbs down?
I mean, it's definitely a thumbs up. I don't even have to, pretend about that. Everything about this, I think that they were very true to the original while putting their own spin on it, and their own spin didn't detract from it. It like you said, it elevated it. Mm-hmm. Down to every little aspect, even when he's going into the spirit world, and even the way that he sits like Aang sits. He does that, cross leg style, mm-hmm. but the way that he does it, his mannerisms of how he sits down, just like Aang, he kind of does a little flourish with it, and when he does that, and then the way that the avatar state, or the when he's going to the spirit world, the way it lights him up, I mean, it just looks good. They took their time and they made this thing look good. So it's definitely a thumbs up. I mean, definitely that. I agree. They can't wait too long. I know people are anticipating this before it came out. I know people, at least real fans of it, are liking this. They've got to get that next season out there pretty quickly, so we can just continue this story. I mean, just because this is good.
These people have these IPs of these studios and these series, and you start to take too long, the fan base forgets about them. And not that we forget about them, but the intrigue of it kind of wears off. Like the disappointment of knowing that Netflix Wednesday season 2 got pushed back, right? Things like that. Like as long as they took between you for season 1 and season, Netflix can't do this. If you're going to be a channel that people subscribe to, you got to be seasonal. Mm-hmm. The networks have been in business all these years because they're seasonal. Hey, we got our regular shows, we got our summer shows. We're so long through a season show, we take breaks, run some reruns, but we're here through that whole entire season. And then the summertime come, you get a whole different set of shows from other shows to recoup, relax, and start to film again, right? So Netflix, hey, any advice from fans? You gotta start filming like that. You gotta start making these things network seasonal for people to watch. Yeah. You have to learn from the mistakes that was the Stranger Things. You have, because those kids just grew up real fast and they just wasn't kids no more. And Aang, boys can sprout up. So once you did some super research and found out his mom and dad and granddaddies and all them are all some short people, he can be taller than Katana one day, and that's going to throw off the whole balance of how the appearance of the show looks.
Or his voice changes.
Can happen. What happened to Urkel? Okay. What happened to Urkel? So, I mean, Middle Eastern, Asian, the way that it showed demographics, and you can just identify right away who they were, was just simply amazing. Listen, I'm Mike Knox. That is the Next Doctor. Any final words on this show? Any tell people to go watch it? You want to go watch it? You gonna watch it again? Because I'm probably gonna watch it again now we did this review again.
I mean, I probably will, because I did binge it through the weekend. And I was locked in. But I do want to go see again the bending, the way that they do the bending. It just looks so good. I definitely got to go back and do this again. I mean, listen, if you haven't watched this, if this is the thing that you're like, oh, maybe I should watch it, maybe I'm not sure, go watch it. If you've seen the cartoon, and you're going to enjoy it. If you haven't seen the cartoon, still, it's a great ride. And it will probably make you want to go see the cartoon, so you can oh, what am I anticipating for the next season? And then you can, get on the email list to Netflix corporate and say, hey, where's my next season? We need stuff seasonal.
There it is. That's how you get that stuff done. Listen, guys, Unpop Review Entertainment. We are here. We were live. Not really, but we were here. Listen, thank you guys for tuning in. Avatar, Netflix, that is. The Last Airbender. Not that blue man in outer space dancing with wolves. Come on, y'all. This is the real Avatar. It's only one we count. The real Avatar, y'all. Thanks. We see y'all next time, y'all. Peace.
Water. Earth. Fire. Air.
My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days, a time of peace, when the Avatar kept balance between the Water Tribes, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, and Air Nomads. But that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar mastered all 4 elements. Only he could stop the ruthless firebenders. But when the world needed him most, he vanished.